Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about Insta360 X4. So let's dive deep into it. So what is this puppy? Now the unique part about this is right now almost every company is stuck in a loop of releasing products every year. That's just too fast and things are not changing that much. We are not in the early stage of smartphone where every smartphone was whoa. So like for no reason, GoPro is just releasing. Like you have to have an Excel sheet in order to figure out what's this difference here. So this 19 month is a surprisingly good breath of fresh air. Now I do not know whether it was delayed due to something or it was like they were intending to, because this is weird number 19 month, it's not 24. So I do not know what happened, but we are very glad that it did happen because it's actually big enough step up where it's like, okay, I see what you did. It's not like, okay, you changed this little thing and released it. No, it's like, okay, you made a change. That's a different thing. So it can do 8K, 30 frame per second, 360-degree video. Now be very mindful and very clear about this. When I say 8K, it does not mean 2D 8K. Like let's say assume this TV is 8K. Can you watch a 8K footage from this camera on this? No, because it is a 360 system. So you have to zoom in into a small section of that sphere so you can get a 2D output of it. So that would be limited to 4K. So let that be very clear. So you may like, what's the use of 8K then? Well, there are a lot of places where you could use that 8K. For example, VR. A lot of virtual tours are becoming a thing. So you can give someone as like a VR goggle and they can watch it. And that point it would be like awesome. Another thing would be, if you're capturing everything in 8K, that means when you zoom in and crop out 4K, you have enough detail there in whole sphere that you can actually render enough detail where it's actually useful. Because early days of basically 5 years ago, 360 videos, they were like 4K 360 video, but it's like when you actually looked at it, looked like garbage. The reason was that like you need very high fidelity of a sphere in order to have slice that can be clear enough. So be very clear in your mind. 8K does not mean it's more than 4K. No, it's 8K sphere that you can zoom in into. So as a sphere, that's awesome. As a 2D footage, not that. So what about price? In India, it's priced at around 55,000 at the time of recording. In USA, it's supposed to be around $500. So not too extreme. Heck, nowadays most smartphones are above this, so not too extreme. And how they are dealing with the sensor, I could not find the detail, but the sensor is supposed to be 72 megapixel sensor and a half-inch sensor size. Now, given the fact that it's a 360 system, most likely it is square sensor. It could be a rectangular one, but it will make more sense to be square. Although I could see it being rectangle because they do want to stitch on the so basically each lens is more than 180 degrees. So basically it sees a little bit behind. So the lens that is on front sees a little bit behind. The lens that is on back sees a little bit of front. Overlap allows the computer to stitch it together. So I do expect the sensor to be a bit unique in aspect ratio, but could not find too much detail about that. However, they have listened to the most common complaint with 360 lens systems is that no matter which direction it falls, it always falls on the lens side. So, and because it's protruding, it's very brutal. So basically that puppy scratches or cracks way too often. So removable lens guard. Now, is that amazing? Yes. It's little things that makes your life a bit more pleasant, a bit less frustrating. So that's good. So this is X4. Now here's detail wise, like what you have to understand here is that there is significant change. Like you can go from 5.7K as they used to 8K. That is significant. You can go from 3K crop of high FPS to 4K crop at 100 FPS, and the photos that you can do is 72 megapixel. And I'm not sure whether the old one had the 72 megapixel sensor or like it was like upscaling to it, but again 72 megapixel. And single lens mode, basically if you are shooting only one lens, you can go up to 4K 60 FPS. So if you want to use it as a webcam or just a front facing cam or back facing cam, it's equivalent to having a 4K action cam 60 FPS. Gesture control, because the AI chip on sensor is quite capable. And runtime, this is what they have improved the most. That's why I said like I'm actually happy that company actually took time. It would really help us all if all companies are like, okay, let's stop, okay, let's just chill, let's just take our time, let's actually polish things out, let's release it every 2 years. We are in a stagnant point anyway, so releasing every 2 years, it will reduce your expenditure and we will get actually something, oh, there is actual reason to upgrade. So Runtime, you can go from 81 to 135. That's a significant jump. And yes, in India they are also testing it as in a hot environment, and they're getting good results. Basically, at this point in time, it's a really well balanced system. So but if you are recording that basically sphere, 8K sphere, be mindful that puppy will consume megabytes, a lot of it. How much? 1.5 gigabyte in high quality mode per minute. So if you are capturing 8K 30 fps, be ready to have some huge micro SD cards, like huge one. Oh, thankfully they also upgraded the USB 2 to USB 3, so you can actually transfer it also quickly. That's what I said, like there is enough time gap where it's not like, hey, wait a minute, the last model also had USB 2, this model also has USB 2. No, they actually upgraded. That's good. So you have to be mindful. And what kind of bitrate we are looking at? We are looking at 200 megabits per second. So it's good. For 360, it's not amazing, but compared to all other 360 system, it's damn good. And 4K output can be done from any 360 clip. Let's say you shot a 360 clip, you can zoom in, frame it, and get a 4K output out of it, either in your mobile phone or your PC application. It can be done. If you are doing single frame, as in like front lens or back lens, you can do 4K 60. Unfortunately, which I find it very odd, they do not have the luxury of switching lenses, as in like how your mobile phone can do basically front camera, back camera. That cannot be done here for some reason. That's like odd. Like that's such a little odd thing missing. Is like, why? And it has a me mode, meaning if you are just traveling with this, that's the whole point of this. It's not supposed to be something you are aiming for. You're just like, okay, carrying it, so it can focus on you and zoom in for you, and then give a video output where you are at the center of the subject. So me mode, it's a AI framing tool that will give you the output of 4K 30 fps. Now, the another aspect is it's finally using H.265, which I'm genuinely shocked how many modern action cam do not even use this. Only few action cams have this. Like, this is ancient format, H.265. I was expecting AV1, but okay, AV1 does is very new, brand new at this point in time. H.265 came with introduction of this 4K Blu-ray, and H.264 came with basically normal Blu-ray. When the first time we jumped from DVD to Blu-ray, that's when H.264 was introduced. So H.265 like did not have good penetration in the market. It has like a very serious royalty fight. That's why like big companies got so fed up, they made a new standard known as AV1. AV1 is open source. So I do have a computer graphics card, all of them are capable of AV1, and I do expect quite soon we'll start to see AV1. So H.265 allows you to have very high bit rate and without having large size. So it's very efficient with codecs. That's good. So that's why that 1.5 Gbps at 8K 30 is actually good. Compare that same 1.5 Gbps at 30 FPS, most cameras will only give you 5.6K. That's why that H.265 is a good enough upgrade. And one of the best app ecosystem, meaning if you ever wanted to understand like what the hell happened to GoPro, why the heck it, like you look at GoPro stock from Lifetime, it was like whoa, to like what the hell, and watch their 360 apps, you'll be like, okay, I understand. They could not design it. Now, how could Insta design it? That's the only thing they do. They have been doing 360 from day one. So they are very specialized and they understand one core thing. Nobody is using this to make a cinema. They understand this. Like nobody got time for making cinema out of this. So they are making it very easy to use, rather than like, you should have 10,000 features and you should look like a Premiere Pro. I'm like, no, Premiere Pro is a garbage application. It's like, it's designed by a company that no longer cares. So it does not improve, does not evolve. Trying to clone that sort of design language to your application is bad. They understand this. Their application is far more gentle, far more easier. Now, let this be very clear. If you're coming from mobile application, you will find this to be a bit intimidating, but you can easily get used to it. So that's the details of it. It's like significant jump from 3 to 4. It's no longer just like, you can skip it. No. This is the jump. So the question becomes why? Well, this is one point. I'm very happy that company took time to. I do not know whether it was intentionally or just something forced their hand, but it was a very welcome sight. Now, what's the point of buying a 360 camera today? Because again, back in 5-6 years ago, we had, all of us had this fever where 360-degree video is gonna be the future format. Heck, YouTube also did that, but people realized very early on, while selling a 360 video in some scenario makes sense. Like, let's say you are showcasing your property to someone, that makes sense. Like, hey, I want to look at everything. That's awesome. But as a video sharing medium, it was worse, because let's say something is happening. Let's say you are skiing. How would a person watching your 360 video will know what to look at? They may be looking at the, oh, that's a good seaside, oh, that's a good tree. They do not know. The first thing about cinematography is like drawing your attention. So 360 is awesome for capturing. but you're never supposed to give 360 to someone unless it's like unique case scenarios like a virtual tour or some things of that nature. But in most scenarios, you're supposed to shoot at 360 and then adjust it, give your artistic touch, draw your attention, and then render out a frame. So this camera allows you to do that. That's why 360 is still surviving. And even though like we have reached a point where your mobile camera is very good, this is something that only a 360-degree camera can do. Like for example, you point a stick in front of your bike and put a camera there, done, go home, done, everything is done. Like you no longer, oh, is it right angle and nothing, you do not have to do anything. Now you can have different kind of editing. You can have editing where bike is completely straight but the road tilts, or you can have opposite, like, oh, road is tilting and all that. That's up to you after you have shot it. That is like shut up, take money. And again, front view, back view, all of them in one go. Start recording, forget about it. That for many people is like, this is why 360 is still a company, 360 is still selling. So you just start, and again, every jump is right now is 360 is still heavy. That's why 8K frame, you have to understand 8K is still heavy, digitally speaking. I'm not talking about the quality of the image. Digitally, just to crunch that much number, whew, is brutal. So that's they're doing. And another aspect is emotionally, is that a lot of people right now, you can see, go to any place, you will see people are always staring at their phone trying to capture something. They are not in the moment. They are capturing a moment through a screen for now HD. They do not know how that emotion feels. And if you ever wondered why the heck so many people are like, I do not like to go outside. Yeah, most of the time when they are outside, they are looking the world through the lens of a camera. It's not your eye. So fundamentally, you're reducing the ambience. So this sort of 360 camera is like you poke it in a backpack, forget about it. It's just like, hey, I'm traveling, I'm just enjoying, I'm just everything, and anything interesting happens, it's already captured. So from that point of view, that's what they're offering. It's like, hey, you are just a vlogger, you are just not, just go on a hike, just go. That's the whole point. Just go. Do not think about it. Oh, is it aimed correctly? I have a gimbal or I have this thing. No, start recording, forget about it. That's what they are offering. That 360 video gives you a freedom. Like say some of your people are getting married and you just put few of them. I know which video I'm referring to. You guys also know. It's like you have few of these cameras and then like everybody focus on wedding rather than. That's a very priceless thing nowadays, and nobody will be like fear of missing out. Heck, you might actually capture things that were not the subject of attention. So shoot first, frame later. An app or ecosystem is also a very well built app ecosystem, and that's what they are polishing on. They're also adding AI and all that, but I do not trust AI part too much, simply because, not because that sucks, it's simply because that requires supercomputer on their end. That means at some point they have to make it a charged product, or have limit. They have right now limit like 3 shots per day, if I'm not mistaken. But you get the point. Like, it's not that AI can't do it. It's just like it can't be done for free. So I would not trust on that part. Like, unless they had a subscription, I will get it. But like, that's why like do not hedge your bets on that part. Now, how does it compare to normal action camera? Let's say Osmo action camera or GoPro. Now, let this be very clear. Law of physics is very clear. Tiny lens and tiny sensors equals lame. Like, no matter what you do, you will always get that. Even if the sensor, exactly same sensor is used in both of those camera, because this lens is focusing on a small field of view of the world. That puppy is trying to capture everything. So fundamentally, from its point of view, how much inch it has for the full field of view is very little. So it's not going to be great. And again, telephoto lenses are used for quality. Whenever you want like the full field, you use wide angle. So you have to understand. And when you really need to do full 360, for example, this puppy, yes, this is 1 foot long. This is used for Vegas sphere. They're like, how the heck they are shooting it? That's how they are shooting it. To give you a context how big this is 1 foot, and this sensor is 65 millimeter. This sensor is bigger than the Sony full frame mirrorless camera. They have it here. That's why, like, let this physics part be very clear. If you really need quality, you need to have a giant lens and a giant sensor. So if anybody's like, oh, we can do 360 in small sensor, no. And the system they used before this was 18 red cameras. Yeah, let that be very clear. If you're like, oh, we can do 360, it's like, you can do 360, that's not an issue. But if you really want quality 360, you're going to need multiple cameras, a lot of them. Like, law of physics is clear. Either a ginormous sensor like this puppy, or like lot of sensors. And again, if you want optical awesomeness where like cinematographer can zoom in into one section rather than showing the whole screen, at that point even this will not cut it. At that point you'll have to go back to the old system where you had like hundreds of cinema camera looking 360. Then you can have enough fidelity where any place you look in, you can keep zooming in and have fidelity. So be very mindful. A huge system is the only way you can justify like proper 360, where it's like it's capturing everything with enough detail where it can be like I can reframe it like it's something out of a proper camera. So let it be very clear. If you are a fan of start and forget kind of shooting, this is awesome. This is awesome. But if you are not fan of that, like you like to enjoy, like yeah, of course I also enjoy it. Like I set this camera every day and I'm like, okay, let's align it, let's make sure that line is as close to straight as possible because it does have barrel distortion, but like do my best and align all. Again, people enjoy that. If you are that kind of person, you like to do framing and all that, you may not find this to be as worthwhile, because from your point it will become extra hassle. It's like I'm doing the framing and then I have to capture everything, then I have to reframe in the software and then do it. You may find it tedious. So it's up to you. And if you are that kind of guy like who's gonna project like your GoPro video on this, let's say 4K OLED, yeah, go with action cameras. Do not go with Insta360. You will notice very quickly 4K of these puppies, 4K of that puppy is almost like you are watching 2 generations behind. It's not bad, let that be very clear. It's not bad, but you are trying to capture a whole sphere. This is needed for whole sphere. That Insta360 is not that guy. It's not that guy, not the big guy. So your expectation had to be reasonable. You have to be the guy who's like, hey, I just want to be in the moment and capture everything. If something fun happens, you can go YOLO on it. So be very mindful. If action camera is still a thing, the reason for that is very clear. Now, should you buy a 360 or action camera? For most people, 360 is a much better deal because these things are not as far ahead as they used to be, and they still require a lot of paying attention to it. People hate that part. So for that reason, 360 is far more favorable to far more newer comers compared to these things. And these things are like, if you are professional, I want my bike handle to be like exactly the frame point. Okay, just buy this, forget about everything else. And you're going to get better fidelity in the output. Law of physics is very clear. You cannot fight it. So this was my presentation on Insta360 X4. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.